Hi, I'm Bisma, and you're listening to The Other C Word, a podcast about all things cancer from a stage 4 breast cancer warrior. We cover health and wellness, mind, body, and soul. Plan to leave each episode with hopefully some new insights and inspiration. Let's get into this week's episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to The Other C Word. If you are tuning in on YouTube, you can see that I look quite different. I have unfortunately lost my hair because of the chemo treatments. I'll talk about that a little bit later this episode on how that experience has been. But yeah, if you're tuning in, I now have a bald head now. So I wanted to do this episode today and really just kind of go over how my chemo experience has been so far. I just started my second cycle, and my cycle of chemo is 21 days long. And I have infusions on day 1 and day 8, and then day 15 is a break, and then start up again day 1, day 8, day 15 break. The chemo that I'm on, it's called Trodelvy, and it's for people that have triple negative breast cancer like I do now. As I mentioned before in the previous episodes, I was hormone positive breast cancer, and now the most recent biopsies are showing that it has transformed into being a triple negative breast cancer, which is considered more aggressive and harder to treat. So yeah, the chemo is called Trodelvy, and then I'm also getting immunotherapy alongside it, which is called Keytruda. And the Trodelvy is every day 1 and day 8 of a cycle, and the Keytruda is on just day 1 of the cycle. All right, so I want to go over how the first cycle went and how I'm doing now. If you listened in last episode, I was pretty nervous about what to expect with chemo and the side effects and all of that. And now that I've been through one complete cycle, it's nice to kind of know like these are options of what to expect. And how it went for me is that day 1, I had my first chemo. Days 3 through 5, I was like pretty fatigued, had body aches, had to just rest those days. Day 8 had my second chemo. Day 9 got this white blood cell shot because the chemo drives down white blood cell count. So they did a shot to improve the white blood cells. And that shot I had a really bad reaction to. So basically after the shot was administered, I started trembling, was like uncontrollably shaking for about 10 minutes. My blood pressure spiked and my oxygen levels dropped down to 84%. And I was just shaking. Luckily was able to get my oncologist and my PCP on the phone. They said it's a reaction to the white blood cell shot. They told me to take Claritin and start taking oxycodone. So I took the Claritin, and then I also started taking oxycodone because in the subsequent days, I started having really bad bone pain. The bone pain was like all through my lower spine and in that like back pelvis bone. And it was pretty brutal. I think it might be like one of the highest amount of pain days I've had in a long time. That stretched from like day 9 to 13, 14 of the cycle is really bad. But the good thing is that now I know what to expect. So going into this cycle, I can preemptively start to take the Claritin, take the oxycodone, and try to keep the pain low. So that'll be next week. I'll keep you guys posted on socials how it goes. There was also one day in there where I started to have shortness of breath and chest pain. And my oncologist advised me to go to the ER and get that checked out in case it was a reaction to the chemo, a blood clot, something of that sort. And I went in that day to the ER, was there for a few hours, got pain meds. They did a CT scan of my chest. And luckily that didn't show a blood clot. So we determined it was probably due to the fluid that's been building up in the pleura of my lungs. So after we left the ER, I was able to get scheduled a thoracentesis for the next day where we drained out that fluid. And that provided a lot of relief from that shortness of breath and chest pain. So yeah, it was a pretty eventful couple of weeks. On day 13 and 14 of my first chemo cycle is when my hair started to fall out. It was coming out in clumps. I would run my hands through my hair and literally just like tons of hair was coming out. And it happened really quickly. It was over like a 2-day period and it just really started to fall out. On day 16, I decided to get a short haircut to see if it was like more manageable, less like pulling of hair coming out. And that haircut looked good for a couple days, and then it just got really stringy, and I decided to go ahead and shave my head. So my husband did that with his clippers, and I'm gonna go in this weekend to a barbershop here and get like a blade shave done. And I think that'll just help make it more smooth and more comfortable overall. I'm actually pleasantly surprised how I've managed the emotional aspect of the hair loss, I thought it would be a lot worse. I feel like it was more traumatizing when the hair was coming out than now when it's gone and it's done with. So that's been interesting. And I feel like now that it's gone, it also just feels a little freer. Like I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's done with. I can choose to go without a wig. I can put on a wig. I can put on a scarf, and I've got options now. And I don't have to worry about the what ifs anymore. And yeah, I'm like surprisingly liking the bald look. I think it's very freeing. Also, it's still super hot in Austin right now, so it's actually really nice to not have a bunch of hair covering my head. And yeah, I definitely thought like that moment of like when I would have to shave my head would be super emotional and I'd be crying, but I surprisingly wasn't. I felt more empowered than anything, and I'm very grateful for that. I will say overall, I'm reflecting on the first 21-day cycle. Like it wasn't easy. It also wasn't the worst thing. So somewhere in between. And I think the biggest thing for me, because I am a planner and I like to understand what's going to happen when, is I've been keeping track of my symptoms on a day-by-day basis and trying to see if I can find a correlation between like what days of chemo I'm not feeling well, so I can plan around that and not plan to work or plan to do other things on those days and just rest. So I'm hopeful by like cycle 3, I have a good rhythm down and kind of like know what to expect each time. I will also say that this chemo treatment seems a lot stronger than the targeted treatments I've been on. I did have side effects over the last 2.5 years on my other treatments as well, but these definitely seem more pronounced and more so affecting my day-to-day life. But that being said, I do feel like hopefully because these drugs are feeling stronger, that hopefully they are working better and working more effectively in getting rid of my cancer. So I think one of the biggest things that has helped me through this last few weeks is the concept of giving myself grace and allowing myself to have these lower days, these lower energy days, rest days, days where it's high pain days, just allowing myself to be in the moment and not hold myself accountable to being able to do the things that I used to do before, and just being kinder to myself that my body is going through a lot. This is not an easy time right now. Hopefully there are better days ahead, and it's okay to give myself grace and allow myself to feel these things and take a slower pace in life right now. Something that I've been getting asked a lot on social media about is like, what am I eating? Am I still doing keto and fasting right now? And I wanted to address that here with the larger community. So I do definitely believe in the benefits of fasting and eating a low carb keto diet. That being said, I also believe in balance and listening to your body. And for the last few weeks that I've been on chemo, I have not been doing keto. I have been eating carbs. And I think for where I am right now, that just feels like the right move for me. I think because of like how strong these chemo drugs are, I need more energy, and that energy source is carbohydrates. And being super strict and trying to do a full keto diet and intermittent fasting just isn't the right fit for me right now. But for now, I'm honoring my body and what it's looking for, letting it have a break and having carbs. It's been really fun to eat carbs. It's been a long time since I've had that in my normal day-to-day. I am still trying to eat healthy and not overdo it, but it's been pretty liberating to be able to eat more things. Other things that I'm trying to keep incorporating during chemo is doing infrared sauna. So I haven't been going as often as I would before. I would typically be going 5 to 6 days a week. Lately, I've been trying to hit just like 2 times a week if possible, and still trying to keep that in my routine. Drinking a lot of water. I know that one sounds small, but I think hydration during chemo is huge. And so I've been having a lot of water with electrolytes daily and keeping hydrated. The other thing I'm trying to do is get steps in. So just get outside and walk. It is a little bit tough here in Texas right now because the heat is still here. But I try to get out in the evenings and go for a small walk if I can. But also remembering that if there are days that I don't feel well enough to go for a walk, it's totally fine. I can just try again the next day. And I think the biggest thing during this process for me right now has been the super strong like connection and support I've had with family and friends here. That's been extremely helpful to me to have friends and family come to my chemos with me, have people checking in on me, people dropping off food, etc. Like, it's just all been super helpful. And I'm really glad that I did decide to do my treatment down in Austin versus San Francisco. And it's just been really overwhelmingly, in a good way, like amazing. So I'm in the first week of my second cycle of chemo. I think the game plan is that we're going to do 3 full cycles, which are 3 21-day cycles, and then do a PET scan. So that will likely be like end of November, early December, that we'll have a PET scan and compare it to the original PET scan we had before I started. So I think between now and then, I'm going to continue this path that I'm on, try to do as much as I can, but not be hard on myself, give myself grace, let myself rest, go on walks, drink water, eat whatever food I feel like having that's going to support my body, and continuing to spend time with family and friends and loved ones. And I will say, like, for someone who's very type A and likes to control everything, this is very much a hard lesson in that I don't have a lot of control over things right now, and that's okay. I'm giving myself grace during this time to allow my body to absorb and take in the chemo drugs, and hopefully they work amazingly, and allow myself to rest during this time and support my body in whatever way I feel like it needs it, and not stick to such regimented, structured rules for myself. And I've had several people reach out and ask that, or mention that they're also starting chemo soon. And so if you're one of those people that you're also on your chemo journey or just starting your chemo journey, my advice, coming from someone who's right there alongside you, is that take it one day at a time. This is not the time to be hard on yourself. Let yourself rest. Lean on your support circle. Allow people to help you. Ask for help. You don't have to do this alone. And celebrate the small wins along the way. Celebrate the days that you are symptom-free and side effect-free and are good to go. And on the days that you're not feeling well, give yourself grace, and it's okay to have those days. And definitely don't feel alone. You are in this with a huge community of people. If you're ever looking for a place to find support and reach out to others, like, there are tons of comments on my Instagram, and you can find people who are in the same boat as you, same type of cancer or different, same receptors, etc. And I think it's such an amazing community that we've been able to build together. And I'm so grateful for that, for all the support that comes through it. All right, guys. And with that, I am having a high fatigue day, so I am going to go rest. Thank you guys so much for being here with me and being on this journey. And please continue to like, follow, comment on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. And follow me on socials at Bismalalji. Take care.
Thanks for listening to The Other C Word, hosted by Bismalalji. New episodes drop Mondays. Connect with me on socials at Bismalalji, and let's all learn, grow, and inspire each other.